AI, it feels like it's everywhere these days, right?
Yeah, it really does feel like the new internet.
Like back in the 90s when everyone was trying to figure out, okay, well, how's this going to work? How do we actually use this? And that's exactly what we're talking about today. We've got reports, articles, a whole stack of them. And we're going to do a deep dive into how to use AI for a business.
I think what's really interesting is that these sources really push past the hype.
Yeah.
They're not just saying, like, AI is the future. It's like, here's how to use AI to actually solve problems you have today.
I love that. That's what we want, right?
Yeah.
We want solutions.
Yeah.
We want practical advice. And that's what these sources really emphasize, this link between the theory and then the actual practical ways to use it. Why is that so important in your view?
Well, businesses are busy. They don't have time to just be messing around with new technology. They need to see results. And so when you show them concrete examples of how AI can solve a real problem for them, then they start to get it. One of the sources talked about a company that used AI to look at customer reviews to predict which product features were most likely to lead to returns.
Wow.
And they were able to tweak their designs based on that data and saw a huge drop in returns.
So cool.
So, that kind of a success story really makes it click for people.
Absolutely. So let's get into some of these specific applications that are mentioned in our stack of sources today. One of the big ones that comes up again and again is process automation.
Oh, right.
I feel like we hear a lot about chatbots, but what are some of the less obvious ways that businesses are using AI to automate?
Well, think about logistics. For example, one of the sources talked about how AI is being used to optimize delivery routes in real time.
Yeah.
Factoring in traffic, weather, driver availability.
Yeah.
It's basically like having a super efficient air traffic controller, but for your deliveries.
I love that. That's a
Yeah.
great analogy.
And then another big area is fraud detection. AI can analyze thousands of transactions every second, looking for those little red flags that a human might miss. It's really all about that speed and scale that we just can't do on our own.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it moves us perfectly into the next big area that our sources talk about, which is enhancing the customer experience.
Yeah.
Now, we hear all the time about personalized recommendations.
Yeah.
But how is AI actually doing this? What is happening behind the scenes?
So imagine you're shopping for a TV online, right? AI can look at your past purchases, what kind of shows you like to watch, even what you've been reading about lately to recommend the right screen size, the right resolution, even suggest streaming services that you might enjoy. It's really about predicting your needs based on what it knows about you.
So it's not just like, oh, you bought this, so you might like this. It's really going deeper.
Exactly. It's understanding your habits and preferences.
Yeah. Now, our sources point out that this personalized approach is really a win-win. It's great for the customer because they're getting what they want. But it's also great for the business because ideally they're selling more.
Right.
But is there a downside? Is there a risk of it feeling a little too big brother-ish?
Oh, for sure. There's definitely a fine line between being helpful and being creepy.
Yeah.
I think it's all about transparency, letting customers know how their data is being used.
Yeah.
And giving them control over their preferences. One source mentioned a company that lets customers choose how personalized they want their experience to be. So, need a gift for your spouse, but don't want the algorithm to blow your cover based on your browsing history. No problem. You can just turn that feature off.
That makes so much sense. So we've talked about a lot of the positives of AI for business. But surely there are also some challenges that businesses need to be aware of before they dive in head first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the big things that came up was the importance of data quality. Garbage in, garbage out, right? So if your data is messy, incomplete, your AI solutions aren't going to be very good either. And then the other thing is having the right people in place. You need people who understand AI, who can implement these systems effectively. It's not just a matter of buying a piece of software. You need to know how to integrate it into your existing workflows.
Right. You need to train your team. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not a plug and play kind of thing.
So overall, it seems like our sources paint a pretty optimistic picture of what AI can do for business.
Yeah.
It's about automation, but it's also about using AI to understand your customers, to make better decisions, and ultimately to free up your human talent to do what humans do best. Be creative, solve problems, strategize.
Exactly. And I think that's what gets me really excited. What happens when we're not spending all of our time on those mundane routine tasks? What kind of amazing things can we achieve?
That's a great question and a great place to leave our listeners. If AI can free us from all of that mundane stuff, what incredible possibilities does that open up for you in your work, in your industry? Think about it.
Yeah. It's an exciting time.
It is. It really is. Thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
It's been a pleasure.